If you take a drive through the southern tip of the Malay Peninsula today, in 2026, the landscape looks remarkably different than it did just 5 years ago. Where there used to be endless rows of oil palm trees or quiet industrial parks, there are now massive, windowless, high-tech fortresses humming with the sound of thousands of cooling fans. This is the new digital gold mine. We aren't just talking about a few server rooms for local websites. We are talking about a massive global shift. In a few short years, Malaysia has transformed from a regional bystander into one of the most critical hard drives for the entire world. Between 2021 and June 2025, the government approved a total of 143 data center projects with a staggering combined investment value of 144.4 billion ringgit. Tech giants like Google, Microsoft, Amazon Web Services, and NVIDIA aren't just looking at Malaysia, they are pouring billions of dollars into its soil, turning these approved plans into massive physical realities. But why? Why did the world's most powerful companies suddenly decide that a country known for its rainforests and street food should become the brain of the global AI race? To understand this, we have to look at a perfect storm of geography, economics, and a very stressed-out neighbor. First, the Singapore spillover, when a giant runs out of room. For a long time, Singapore was the undisputed king of data in Southeast Asia. It had the connectivity, the stability, and the business climate. But Singapore has a fundamental problem. It is an island, and it is tiny. In 2019, Singapore did something that shocked the tech world. They hit pause. They realized that data centers were devouring their limited land and electricity at an unsustainable rate. Even after lifting that moratorium, Singapore remains extremely selective, only allowing about 80 to 100 megawatts of new capacity at a time. They simply don't have the space to build the hyperscale facilities that modern AI requires. This is where Malaysia, specifically Johor, stepped in. Malaysia is 450 times larger than Singapore, which means it has the one thing Singapore can't manufacture: space. In 2026, the math is undeniable. While Singapore is constrained, Malaysia offers massive build-ready sites. More importantly, the power costs are a game changer. Industrial electricity in Malaysia costs roughly 10 cents per kilowatt hour, while Singapore's can soar over 24 cents per kilowatt hour. For a massive AI campus running thousands of servers 24/7, that isn't just a saving, it's a difference of tens of millions of dollars every single year. By cutting through the red tape with the Green Lane pathway, Malaysia slashed power approval times from 3 years to just 12 months. This transformed the country from a cheap neighbor into a $13 billion sovereign AI hub where giants like NVIDIA and Google can finally build at a scale that is impossible anywhere else in the region. Malaysia basically looked at Singapore's no and said, "We have plenty of room. Come over here." Second, the AI arms race, why NVIDIA and YTL are changing the game. If you want to understand the hype of 2026, you have to talk about artificial intelligence. Training a model like ChatGPT or running a sovereign AI for a government requires an astronomical amount of computing power. These aren't just servers, they are AI factories. This brings us to the NVIDIA-YTL partnership. In late 2025, YTL Power completed the first phase of its NVIDIA-powered AI data center in Kulai, Johor. This facility uses the latest liquid-cooled Blackwell GPUs, the most advanced AI chips on the planet. Why build it here? Because AI chips run hot, very hot. They need specialized liquid cooling systems and a massive, reliable power grid that can handle the load of 100,000 households at a single site. Malaysia's electricity is not only reliable, but it is also incredibly cheap compared to the rest of the region. In Malaysia, industrial electricity costs about US 10 cents per kilowatt hour, whereas in Singapore, it can be US 27. For a company running a 100 megawatt data center, moving to Malaysia can save them $15 million to $20 million a year in power bills alone. That is a massive competitive advantage that you just can't ignore. Third, geopolitics, the neutral safe harbor. We live in a world where the US and China are increasingly suspicious of each other, especially when it comes to technology. This has created a China plus one strategy, where companies want to diversify their infrastructure away from the primary conflict zones. Malaysia has mastered the art of being neutral. In 2026, you can walk into a Malaysian data center hub and see Microsoft from US is building a facility on one plot, while ByteDance or GDS Holdings, both from China, is building right next door. Malaysia offers a safe harbor where both Eastern and Western tech can live together. Because Malaysia has over 20 international submarine cables landing on its shores, it provides a direct, high-speed digital bridge between the West and the East. It is one of the few places in the world where global tech firms feel they can grow without being caught in the middle of a trade war. This geopolitical insurance is a major reason why companies like Oracle recently announced a $6.5 billion plan to build a cloud region here. Fourth, the green lane, slashing the red tape. Infrastructure projects usually move at the speed of a snail. In many countries, getting a high-voltage power connection for a data center can take 3 to 5 years. In the tech world, that's an eternity. The Malaysian government, however, decided to treat data centers like a national priority. They created the Green Lane Pathway, a specialized process that fast-tracks power and water approvals. Instead of waiting years, companies like AirTrunk or Bridge Data Centers can get their facilities operational in as little as 12 months. When you combine this speed with the Malaysia digital status, which offers tax exemptions and duty relief, it becomes a no-brainer for investors. Prime Minister Anwar Ibrahim's administration has earmarked 5.9 billion ringgits in the 2026 budget, specifically to bolster AI and digital infrastructure. They aren't just waiting for the world to come, they are rolling out the red carpet with specialized AI-ready industrial zones. The reality check. Is there a price to pay? As a documentary filmmaker, we have to look at the other side of the coin. This boom isn't free. Data centers are famous for being energy and water hogs. In 2026, critics are starting to ask, where is the water coming from? Data centers in Johor and the Klang Valley are projected to need 808 million liters of water per day for cooling. That's enough to strain local supplies if the infrastructure isn't managed perfectly. There's also the question of jobs. A massive data center might cost $1 billion to build, but it only needs a few hundred people to run it once it's finished. However, the counter-argument is the multiplier effect. While the data center itself might not employ thousands, the ecosystem around it does. We are seeing a surge in demand for high-end electrical engineers, cloud architects, and data scientists. According to Bank Negara, entry-level roles in this sector now pay between 3,000 and 7,000 ringgit, which is well above the national median. More importantly, having the servers here means local startups can access low-latency AI power, which is already sparking a sovereign AI movement in Malaysia. For half a century, Malaysia's economy was defined by what it could grow or assemble: oil, palm oil, and basic electronics. But in 2026, the era of low-cost manufacturing is being replaced by the era of high-value data. Malaysia didn't just stumble into this boom. It looked at the constraints of its neighbors, utilized its vast land and cheap energy, and moved faster than almost anyone else in the region. The world is building data centers in Malaysia because for the first time, Malaysia has made itself the most logical, efficient, and stable digital factory on the planet. The war for the future of AI isn't just happening in Silicon Valley, it's happening right now in the cooling halls of Johor and Cyberjaya. Malaysia is no longer just a destination for tourists, it is the destination for the world's data. If you enjoyed this deep dive into how Malaysia is quietly becoming the world's digital backbone, I want to hear from you. Do you think the data center boom is the teeth to Malaysia's high-income future? Or are we just becoming a utility room for global tech giants? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. And if you want to stay updated as we explore the new frontiers of Asian infrastructure, make sure to hit that subscribe button and join our community.